Brexit, Trump, religion, the Extinction Rebellion. Are you for or against these things? Why do we form different opinions and views? Why do we make different decisions? And why do we have debates and relationship clashes? Why is one person's reason another one's treason? And where do these different needs and paradigms even come from? Is it nature or is it nurture? There are so many evidence-based theories that could be used to explain this. So let's start with my favorite thing, the brain. When looking at a person's brain activity whilst they make a decision, German researchers could predict what choice someone was going to make 7 to 10 seconds before they themselves were even aware of having made a decision. So even when someone thinks that they're making a conscious, logical decision, chances are that they've already made a decision and that it was unconscious. Our brain knows what decision we're going to make before we even make it. So there must be something about people, something about who we are that can predict our decisions. And if that's the case, then is it truly unreasonable for a person to make a decision that's influenced by who they already were before they made it? In Jehoda's deviation of social norms theory, if a behavior isn't seen as socially acceptable, then it can be seen as abnormal. But is this fair? The argument against this is that some behaviors are only seen as acceptable if they're performed in the right context. For example, in Nigeria, it's normal to greet people by lying down. In Nicaragua, it's normal to point with your lips. And in Greece, it's normal to spit on the bride at weddings. I'm sure if someone did these things in England, then some people wouldn't see it as reasonable behavior. But there are some things that we do that other countries find unreasonable. Some cultures think it's crazy that we love to queue. There's actually a rumor that part of the British citizenship test will be dedicated to the art of queuing and include a practical exam where applicants have to wait for a bus that may never come. They also don't understand why we call Yorkshire puddings puddings, why we eat Marmite, and why we drink so much tea. I actually heard there's a GCSE topic now in tea making. Oh, and I might mention this to some people on the tube. In Japan, it's not normal to blow your nose in public. Beyond culture, there will always be one type of person who agrees with you and another who completely doesn't. And why is this? We all have different personality types. And like that German brain study, these personality types can influence our needs, desires, and most importantly, our decisions. Take Graves' theory of spiral dynamics. This is a data-based psychological approach to understanding worldviews or systems of thinking held by people, organizations, and societies. So he wants to know why people think what they think about and why this makes them find different things reasonable. So Graves came up with the levels of psychological existence. These levels represent systems in people. They're not a Hogwarts hat that sorts people into types and labels them, but understanding people's priorities are clues to what systems might be in play. And I know what this picture looks like, but it's the only one I could find that wasn't copyrighted. There isn't time to go into all of them today, but you can already see how there might be some clashes. The red people think they make the rules, whereas the blue people want to follow the rules. Then there are the purple people who are spiritual and don't care about the rules, and the turquoise people who care about how the rules are affecting the environment. But what if you get a red patriarchal person having a conversation, or indeed being in an intimate relationship with an empathetic green or a submissive blue person? Graves actually tested this at Union College in New York and found that the red students were very argumentative unless they had one overall leader. The blue students split into a number of groups with individual leaders, and the green students wanted harmony. They had no leaders at all. Imagine how this applies to the real world. Think of the types of people at work or in relationships or politically who would fit each of these personality types. And imagine how that might make them perceive different things as reasonable. Then again, where do the needs for these personality types come from? Why do we have these desires and form these personalities in the first place? In John Burton's human needs theory, he said that everyone has specific needs that relieve them from experiencing unpleasant mental states, and will do more to avoid pain than we will to get pleasure. Some people act distressed just to get certainty and satisfaction, whereas others need adrenaline and adventure in their lives. Some people have a need to be the best, whereas others just need security in all areas of their life. Anthony Robbins expands this concept with his 6 human needs theory, adding 3 more spiritual needs for the ultimate fulfillment: love and belonging, growth, and contribution. Everything that you do is determined by the order that you place these needs in your life. But you always have a dominant 1 or 2 needs, and that's what creates your personality. For example, for some people, everything they do is to get love, whereas others just want to be the best. However, Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said that satisfied needs do not motivate. It is only the unsatisfied need that motivates. Imagine how this would impact a relationship if your needs went unsatisfied. We all know a couple who broke up and everyone was so surprised, right? I knew a couple who got divorced and no one saw it coming. They were known as the Disney couple. But the woman admitted to me that they had completely different needs. He wanted an adrenaline-filled life and to be the best, and she just wanted love and security. We often clash in relationships because we don't understand each other's needs or how the other person feels love. According to Chapman's infamous love languages, the way we express love is like a language. And if you show someone love in a different way to how they feel it, then you may as well be barking at a cat. 23% of people only feel love if they're told that they're loved, whereas 20% of people only feel love through spending quality time with their partner. 18% of people only feel love through giving or receiving gifts, and 19% of people only feel love through physical touch. Then there's the remaining 20% of people who only feel love when someone performs an act of kindness that shows it. And as you can see, the love languages are pretty equally spread across the population. My love language is gifts, and my partner's it's words of affirmation. If we didn't get that, we may have never felt loved by each other because these needs are so different. But because we communicated this to each other, we always feel loved. We learned each other's language. I show him I love him by buying him a personalized t-shirt of his favorite basketball team, and he shows me he loves me by telling me that he does. It's so important to communicate your needs to others so that you don't feel unloved, even if they do really love you, but show it in a different way. Remember those human needs? Well, my partner's were adrenaline and uncertainty, which completely clashed with my need for certainty. So I took a massive leap to join him in his adventurous world of uncertainty, and we never looked back. So once you're aware of what your needs are, you can actually adapt them to your advantage. 56% of marriages end because the couple's needs clash. 56%. How do you think this would change if they understood each other's needs and love languages and saw where the other person came from? So we might find different things reasonable in relationships, but this can cause us to clash if we don't understand each other's needs. There's a saying that I love. Everyone comes from a place of innocence. No one was born evil, and no one ever thinks that they're in the wrong. It's all due to the different needs and personality types that we have. In 2017, a study was conducted on what happens to people who receive acts of kindness. And the researchers found that those who received it performed 278% more acts of kindness than those who didn't receive it. So once we can understand that everyone has different needs and that everyone comes from a place of innocence, we can treat them according to their needs and create a ripple of acts of kindness. And once we know that all our decisions come from who we are or how we were brought up, the communication in all our relationships, both romantic and platonic, can be improved. Now, isn't that reasonable? Thank you.